This animated schematic shows the internal architecture of a complex remote control device. If you take one apart, exploding outward into its dozens of interconnected components, you see a masterclass in extreme intentionality. Every single piece of hardware is placed there for a highly specific reason. Look closely at this single, completely ordinary resistor. It doesn't do anything flashy. It doesn't light up. But if you remove it, the electrical current overloads and the entire machine stops working. Its role is strictly non-negotiable. We naturally understand this exact engineering logic when we look at our gadgets, our cars, or even the ingredients in our food. We appreciate the utility of the things around us. Yet human psychology routinely fails to apply that same structural logic to ourselves. Let's call this the Ryan dilemma. It is the incredibly common, almost paralyzing trap of feeling entirely ordinary. It is that sinking suspicion that you are simply a face in the crowd, or just a kid, without any standout talents that make you useful. Society hands us a very specific metric for calculating human value. It dictates that we should only take pride in our existence if we invent something famous, accumulate wealth, or achieve highly visible greatness. Statistically, the vast majority of people will never invent a famous machine or go down in history books. By demanding exceptionalism, the social metric ensures that true self-gratitude remains mathematically out of reach for the average person. As long as we use societal achievement to measure our worth, trying to be thankful for who we are will always feel like telling a lie. There is an alternative framework for self-worth. It requires redefining gratitude entirely. Instead of treating gratitude as an audit of your own personal achievements, it treats it as a natural byproduct of trusting the original designer. This text lays out the core argument. Ephesians 2:10 claims that humans are a masterpiece, created anew with a predetermined purpose to do good things. A masterpiece, in this context, implies careful, deliberate craftsmanship. This creates immediate cognitive dissonance. If humans are carefully crafted masterpieces, our daily lived experience rarely reflects that. Most days we feel intensely awkward, deeply flawed, and painfully average. To test this paradox, we can look at the ultimate historical case study, the selection of Moses for a massive rescue mission, documented in the biblical text of Exodus 4. The cultural myth surrounding Moses sets a high baseline expectation. We picture a statuesque, booming-voiced hero carrying a staff and naturally commanding the attention of empires. To accurately understand divine engineering, we have to throw out the Hollywood myth of the flawless hero and look closely at the actual textual data of the man who received the assignment. The textual reality of Exodus 4 reveals a man in a state of sheer terror. When given his calling, Moses desperately tried to back out of the job. This flowchart tracks the requirements against Moses' resume. On the right are his physical limitations, a severe speech impediment, his tongue frequently tied in knots, making him highly inarticulate. This specific limitation statistically made him the worst possible candidate to verbally negotiate with Pharaoh. This reveals the core engineering paradox of the story. God did not select Moses in spite of this physical flaw. He chose him with full, intentional knowledge of his exact structural specifications. In the framework of divine engineering, humans often mislabel things. What we perceive as a limiting bug in our own programming is actually a heavily accounted for feature in the grand design. The Exodus mission did not require a highly polished, flawless OreDark. It strictly required a willing participant who understood our limitations enough to rely entirely on the designer. True design intent means a masterpiece is not an object completely free of flaws. It's an entity perfectly engineered to fulfill its specific, predetermined purpose. Apply that exact engineering logic to the modern viewer, and the Ryan dilemma starts to dissolve. You do not need to be a famous inventor with patents to your name, and you certainly don't need to be a flawless public speaker to be engineered on purpose and with a purpose. When you accept that your specifications are intentional, a major psychological shift occurs. Gratitude immediately stops being a highly stressful audit of your own success rate. This new state of thankfulness operates as a profound relief. It is the simple act of trusting the blueprint of the one who built you. Consider the traditional visual metaphor of the thankfulness tree. Usually, it's an exercise where people write down all the external things in the world they appreciate: family, food, or a roof over their heads. Try rethinking your approach to this exercise. Shift your focus away from the external gifts for a moment and look closely at your own internal design. The very first tag hung on that tree should be a clear, simple recognition of your own intentional existence. True thankfulness begins the moment you acknowledge that, flaws and all, you are exactly who you are created to be.